The struggle for women's suffrage began in the 1800s with women organizing, marching, lobbying, and raising awareness to give women voting rights. The women's suffrage movement was small and mostly state-organized in the opening decades of the 19th century, but by 1848, organization was propelled to the national level with the first Women's Rights Convention in Seneca Falls. Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Lucretia Mott organized the Seneca Falls Convention, and more than 300 people, primarily women, attended. The convention resulted in voting rights becoming a centerpiece of the women's rights movement. Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton formed the National Woman Suffrage Association in 1869 with the goal to grant women the right to vote with a constitutional amendment. The amendment was first introduced to Congress in 1878, and it failed to pass. Women's suffrage activists continued fighting, and on the eve of President Woodrow Wilson's inauguration in 1913, organized a massive parade in Washington, D.C. Thousands of protesters harassed the parade, attempting to block its route and verbally and physically assaulting the women. The marchers would not yield and held their ground until U.S. Army troops arrived to clear their route. Later in 1913, the Congressional Union for Women's Suffrage, the predecessor of the National Woman's Party, was founded by Alice Paul and staged demonstrations. Their sometimes militant tactics and picketing of the White House caused arrests and jail time for some activists. The goal of a constitutional amendment united the major suffrage organizations. Following New York's adoption of women's voting rights, President Wilson changed his position to support women's suffrage. On May 21, 1919, the Susan Anthony Amendment was overwhelmingly passed in the House and then narrowly in the Senate 2 weeks later. On August 18, 1920, Tennessee ratified the amendment, finally gaining the amendment a 3/4 majority. On August 26, 1920, the decades-long, generation-spanning movement achieved its goal when U.S. Secretary of State Bainbridge Colby certified the ratification. However, the battle did not end there. Decades of struggle lay ahead before women from minority communities would secure the right to vote.